Hey everybody, Marcus here, sword and sci-fi guy. I've talked about Warframe melee weapons before, but I wanted to do kind of a more intensive breakdown covering about 29 or so designs that really stood out to me from the codex, and talk about what might have inspired their design, and talk about how effective they would be as actual real-life weapons. Starting with Anku, this is a scythe in the game, and that weapons class is a bit iffy historically. There were some pressed into use during rebellions, and you could just move the blade up like this and mount it on a regular pole in order to have a better polearm. But there was one historic fighting manual that featured them, though that was kind of seen as a medieval meme. Anku, however, doesn't really look like a scythe. The attachment points up there look like they'd be relatively weak on an IRL design, but other than that, it looks more like a bardiche, which was a sort of axe polearm, so it would work pretty well. Not sure what's going on the bottom there. With Cassowar, I'm also not sure what's going on the bottom there. While a number of polearms had spiked end caps, kind of secondary small spearheads, full double weapons were quite rare. The only one that readily comes to mind was the monk spade, and the Cassowar is not set up like that at all. It would be incredibly tough to use. I wonder what kind of ceramic the ceramic dagger is made out of. We don't exactly have the capabilities to do that sort of thing right now, but the design is pretty solid. It's used in the reverse grip, which was, contrary to what you might hear, surprisingly popular, at least with the daggers. And it's used with the curve going inward, which might actually make it pretty good at grappling. The blade on the dark sword is just fine. The two holes at the bottom there might be kind of a structural issue, but I think it'd perform decently. The hilt is interesting, kind of similar to the Filipino Pura. The curve at the bottom keeps it secure in the hand during heavy swings. I haven't really figured out what the offshoot portion is for, but it could be either decorative or as a place to grip for the occasional two-handed swing. It's a better setup for cut-centric swords, and the blade looks more cut and thrust, but it would work. They really like making rapiers look fragile, don't they? Destreza is not the exception to that. The thickness is more like that of a small sword, and it doesn't look like it has any cutting edge, and the curved tang point would be a massive weak point. There is also no place to finger the guard, which is something you do with most rapiers in order to bring the point more in line with the arm. Overall, not really the best design. There is something I've never been able to figure out with the Nikana or Dragon Nikana. Is the entire thing a sword? Or is the image here the sword and the sheath? I don't know. The dual kamas are a bit big, but some martial arts did use dual kamas, so it's a thing. Though some, like the dual raza, look a bit silly. I think Ether Reaper is another scythe technically, but it looks kind of like an oversized version of a Congolese kuba, which is a big axe, so kind of interesting. A lot of the dual daggers like Fang here are perfectly fine, although they call these stilettos in the game, and stilettos are just narrow blades that are more points, that don't really have edges, and they're not stilettos. I think Gazelle is kind of a machete, but it's backwards because the grip is curved, so it stays in the hand, like I've mentioned before. But the edge looks like it's on the backside. That's silly. The Guandao is pretty much a slightly exaggerated version of the Chinese Guandao. So, yeah, it works. I don't understand how Halikar works, but it kinda had me at jet-powered throwing mace. I'm not going to argue with that. The Charist has a wavy blade shape, kind of like the Flamberge or Chris, and maybe Chris has something to do with where it got its name. One reason for this blade design was to throw off opponents by being weirder than a normal blade to parry, so kind of like an unfair advantage type thing. And Charist Prime would just throw off your opponent by being weird in general. Attack boomerangs didn't traditionally return, but they did look a lot like Kestrel here. I don't understand how Kreska works. I guess Massadar could kind of work if it spun around really quickly and made contact and kind of worked like a chainsaw, but I'm not really sure I'd call it a greatsword. The Cutlass and Dagger combo, like Nami Skyla, isn't bad, although parrying daggers kind of worked better with thrust-centric weapons because with a cut, something in your offhand could more get in the way. And I really like how Nami Solo looks. Nikandi is pretty much just regular nunchucks. If the rope was some sort of braided wire, then it would be just fine, and the weighted ends would hurt a lot. I can kind of buy that Orthos Prime is a main head polearm with a secondary blade on the bottom, like I've mentioned before. I kind of love Pangolin. It looks a lot like an elven sword from The Lord of the Rings or a Russian Shaska saber. And it has a ring that offers some protection, and you can figure the guard like a rapier. So, really cool, and I kind of want one. Aside from the thin blade portions here, Tatsu kind of resembles a Nudachi, so it would work. Tenet Grigori would be absolutely brutal. Remember when I mentioned monk spades earlier? Tapito is pretty much like that and would work really similarly. Tondo is pretty much a billhook, which was a medieval weapon used to cut things and then hook them. The twin basalt look really cool. If they weren't a completely metal design, they'd be really effective in real life. And they even have an additional thrusting tip, which would add to versatility. Wolverine's style claws aren't really the best weapons for humans. I'm sure they'd be fine for warframes, but if you strap them to your meat human wrist or arm, you need to be really cautious of leverage because your bones will break before the blades do. And the kunai are kind of a weird combination between throwing knife and shuriken. They usually have more of a handle for easier throwing, but I guess you could grip the ring or grip the blade, although the blades look really sharp and I wouldn't want to do that barehanded. So those were some that stood out to me while scrolling the codex. Which ones do you want to see next?